Hello, and thank you all for listening to the Ogden Potter's House podcast. In this episode, we have a very special guest. I had a great time having a conversation with her and hearing her testimony. But this episode was recorded during the chaoticness of conference. There is one section where the audio kind of switches up a little bit because we had to stop. The busyness of conference kind of delayed one section of the podcast. But I just wanted to give a small little warning so there's no confusion. But in this episode, we hear the story of someone, she's a pastor's wife, but before she was fulfilling the will of God, her life was very different. This is a good one for single mothers or just parents in general, or maybe you're a pastor's wife. There's a lot of good encouragement, a lot of great things in this podcast, or maybe you're none of that at all. Sister Mandy's story is a testament of what putting all of your trust in God and what being faithful to Him can do in your life. So open your heart, open your ears, and enjoy the testimony of Sister Mandy Rodriguez. Before we get started, I just wanted to ask you, how are you enjoying the building and the conference? This is the first podcast recorded at the new building, so how are you feeling?
Excited.
That's good.
It's exciting. It's exciting. The building looks awesome. We've come a long ways. I remember being in the church when it was on, I think, behind the Ogden Mall on Grant.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
Yeah. I think it was Pastor Quinlan at the time.
Dang.
Yeah. I went probably about 2 to 3 times there. And from moving from there to the one on 29th Street, it got bigger, and then Pastor Cluck took over, and now look at where we're at today.
Yeah, it's just a trip, just seeing everything that God's done in the last 2-3 building moves, and it's like each time we move, it's like a new era, a new chapter. And even in the last year, it's been feeling like that at the building at 29th and Quincy. But enough about that. I want to hear the story of you. I hear your testimony. I always hear from other people, they're telling me like, yeah, she's got a crazy testimony. Like she's done everything. And so let's try and dissect that. The first question I have is, what was your home life like just growing up?
Well, I was born in Arizona. It was just me and my mom. She was going to college. We were living on the reservation, and I had uncles that were up here in Utah. So they reached out to my mom, was like, hey, there's better opportunities for you and for me up here in Ogden. You could get a job and support your kid better. So they came, my Uncle Willie came and picked us up. We came up here, and we've been in Ogden since I think that happened when I was 3. We moved up here, and we've been here since I was 3, and just right away, my mom got a job, got a place, and then it was just me and her up until it was 10. And then she had my siblings, Dom and Dej, and then.
What did your mom do for work? Growing up, what do you remember about those early years of coming here?
She did whatever she could. She went and looked for a job. She did what she had to keep food on the table, roof over me and her, and coming. I guess, well, she grew up on the reservation, you know, so it was way different. And like for her to be over here and just providing for me and her, she loved to do that. So we didn't have to go without. Plus, we had my uncles here that, you know, helped us out and showed us where to do stuff, get stuff. And she just always had a job, always worked to support me and her, you know.
That's super cool. So, how old were you? Do you remember when you guys first came down here?
I was 3.
You were 3 years old.
Yeah.
So you basically grew up in Utah. And so how long until you guys kind of came or like had knowledge of the church? Like, do you remember your first encounter with the Potter's House? Or
I want to say I was 11 years old. 11, I was in 5th grade. No, 10, sorry. I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade. One of my best friends was coming to the Potter's House with her family, and I wanted to go spend the night. And she's like, well, if you're going to come spend the night, we're going to church on Sunday.
Oh, dang.
I was like, okay, I don't care.
Did you ever have any like background of church at all, or just growing up? Did you guys ever were you a church-oriented family?
No, I mean, when we first came up here, we went to the Mormon church. We got invited, but the only thing I can remember from the Mormon church is like them singing like their hymns and sitting there for hours. And I remember we'd leave and my mom would be upset, and I'm just like, why do we keep coming back here? Like, what's this place, you know?
Yeah.
Finally, when my friend had invited me, we came, and I told my mom and my uncle about it, and they started coming too. And then that's how we knew about the Potter's House.
So your mom and your uncle Wallace.
My Uncle Wallace, yeah.
Yeah, I've been dying to get a podcast with him, but it's just been so busy. I know he's got some crazy stories, and
Well, yeah.
and he goes way back too. So you said what? 10 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what year that was?
It was 97 because that's when my sister was born.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and I was in 5th grade. So, yeah.
Any like memories or notable things that you remember about the church when you first came in? Like things that you noticed that right away, like differently from the Mormon church?
Yeah, everybody was like so nice and they greeted us. Even me as her friend. When I remember we go to Sunday school and they just like welcomed me and took me in as like I've been there forever.
Dang.
Yeah, and just like the teaching they taught us in Sunday school, and just like I just always remember them telling me I'm here for you, like if you need anything. And I remember Donna Cluck, like I was like, oh, she's so sweet, she reminds me, you know, and just coming with her. And yeah,
That's awesome.
but it was like an on and off thing, like maybe like once every other weekend, or you know, but I knew enough to remember where the church was and what the name of it was called.
Like the almost as if like the testimony of the church
Mm-hmm.
was always there.
Yes.
That's something that I don't think I've ever really talked to anybody about on any of the previous episodes. Of like, people know this congregation and they know the testimony of it. So, you know, growing up, you know, you're getting a little older. Did the church and the people, did it ever like sit in your mind, you know, while you were, you know, out in the world, or maybe off and on? Did it ever like, was it ever a desire to go back as you got older?
Yes, as I got older, it did. When I was probably, I want to say like 21,
Mm-hmm.
is when I started like, I need church, I need something after everything I went through. I don't know if you want me to.
Oh, whatever you're comfortable
Yeah.
with sharing. I mean, that's kind of what we want, you know,
okay, yeah.
just to see everything that.
So it started when my sisters came, you know, and their dad was around, and you get curious, you know. You're like, I told my mom, like, why do they have a dad and I don't? What's so different about me and them? And she's like, well, that's... She's like, as soon as I told your dad that I was pregnant, he left us. So at that time, it just felt like rejection and resentment towards any father figure, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was just like, well, I guess that's that, you know. I don't know how to deal with this, you know. So at that point, I just started like trying to help my mom as much as I can with my sisters, and just trying to be there, you know, be the big sister and really be that good example for them so they don't ever feel that hurt and pain that I felt.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I got into 6th grade. I met more friends, got into like big groups of friends. Like, I just got along with everybody and had tons of friends, and they're like, let's go to the movies, or let's go ride our bikes, or let's go eat at the park. And I would ask my mom, like, hey, can I go with my friends for an hour? I'll be back. At this point, I had already established a routine with her of taking care of my siblings and being there and helping, you know, because at this point, she went and got a second job.
So you had to step it up at home.
Yeah, step it up and help her, and her relationship was up and down, you know. And so, as for me, when she told me that, I wasn't trying to depend, you know. I was just wanting to be there for my mom and for my sisters. But when I started making friends, I was just like, can I just go hang out? Can I do this? Can I go, you know? And she's like, no, you gotta watch your sisters, you gotta do this, I need your help, you know? And it got to the point where it's too overwhelming because I wanted to be a kid now.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a teenager. I wanted to go hang out, you know? And it just got overwhelming to the point where I didn't even know where the came up, but you know, when you're overwhelmed and frustrated and feelings are running, I just decided to run away at the age of 13.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I ran away because I made friends, you know. I ran away. I got caught the first 3 times.
So would you say that, like, just the fact that, you know, you had found somewhat of a group of people that, you know, you could go and do things, you know, explore curiosity and things like that, would you say that, you know, a part of you felt a piece of acceptance that was missing, that you were looking for in other places?
Honestly, I was still looking. I was trying to find where I could fit in. I just figured if I left and ran away, I could look for what I was looking for. And I didn't. In the meantime, so this is where it happened. So the 3 times that I got caught, it was just within days, hours, you know. The 4th time that I got caught, my mom picked me up. I think it was a Wednesday night, and she came to church for prayer on 28th and Quincy. And I was like, I'm just going to stay in here. Like, I was so mad because she found me.
Right, so at this point, your mom was she, like, faithfully going to the Potter's house?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She loved the church. She fell in love with the church. She was taking my sisters, me, you know, and we were probably going just on Sundays and Wednesdays. Like, that's the only time we were going.
Yeah.
And she got along with the sisters, you know, and so, yeah. And at this point, she found me, and we're in the parking lot. And she's all like, if you're going to run away, then just run away. But I'm not going to go after you again. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm going to sit here. I'll go in a minute. You know? As soon as she goes in, I'm looking, and she goes in and shuts the door. I wait 5 minutes, and I book it from there. I run. Like, I think I ran to the nearest bus station and jumped on a bus and went to Salt Lake to meet my friends. And then from there, I was in Salt Lake for about 4 to 5 months. I ran away at the age of 13.
Wow. That's crazy. Do you remember, like, I know it's kind of far back to think, but do you remember, like, what was going through your mind? Like, was there anger? Was there just, like, relief? Like, I'm out? Like...
It was more, well, one, I was upset at her because they found me, you know? And to me, I was just like, well, if you would just let me hang out, I wouldn't be in this situation, you know? Trying to push the blame on her, but yeah. And once I left, I did feel like relief, like, okay, now I can look for what I'm looking for, you know? Like, hopefully what I'm looking for is gonna satisfy me, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
And my mom did a lot of sheltering for us. Like, she covered us from everything. Like, she didn't smoke in front of me. She didn't drink in front of me, like anything. Neither did my uncles. Like, I never even seen that. All I knew was there was cigarettes and beer. Until I ran
just
out.
Magically got there. Yeah.
I know my husband's so amazed when I tell him stuff. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, I ran away, and that's when I figured out there was clubs, beer, alcohol, weed, cigars, cigarettes, like everything. But at that time, I was just so afraid to try anything. I think I experienced getting drunk one time while I was gone, and I was like, nope, this ain't for me. I can't do this. Like, I can't function. I can't, you know, and anything could happen, you know, like living up there in Salt Lake for almost 5 months was crazy, you know, and there used to be a club in Salt Lake that teenagers used to go to.
Dang.
And it was just a dance club. But people would sneak in beer and drugs and all kinds of stuff, you know, and now when I look back, there was like older men going there to pick up younger girls.
It's crazy.
But yeah, and I'm with my friends, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to go. Like, let's just stay together, and you know, and.
So let me ask you this: when you were out there, did you ever have like, just from growing up in church, you know, and hearing the preaching and things like that, and knowing the things of God, seeing the change in your mom, your uncle? Did you ever think like, man, what I'm doing is wrong, or like I shouldn't be here, or were you just completely like lost in it?
I was just completely lost because I think at the time, so I started coming to the college just when we were 10, and as soon as I was probably about 12, and my mom was barely coming for, I want a year and a half, but I came, but at that time, I wasn't even really paying attention to anything, you know? I was just playing, having fun, excited that I was at the same church with my best friend, and just, you know, being a kid, not really paying attention to anything. So, but I knew that there was a God who loved me, you know? But in that time, I was just so far from it. Yeah. Especially just hearing those words from, you know, my mom, and at that time, I knew she wasn't trying to hurt me. She was just telling me the truth, you know? But as a kid, it's like, those are very harsh words. Like, those hurt, you know?
Yeah.
And it just escalated from there.
So how long did you stay out of the church?
I'm up probably 12 years.
So growing up in church and then backsliding, you know, for those years, how hard was it to come back? Were there anything that maybe church people did to help, or did you ever run into people like in Ogden, like?
Oh yeah, when I got older, so I was 13, I came back, I just turned 14, I started getting into relationships, you know, started trying to look for love now. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's love that I need. So I get into relationships. Then I find out I'm pregnant. So then I'm like, okay, well, I need to go back to church, you know? And I came a couple times while I was pregnant and, you know, and just try to, but this time I'm only 15 and I'm pregnant. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm looking for. My mom's like, you need to go to church. You need to go to church.
Yeah.
If you're going to live here in my house, you need to go to church. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go. And I'm only going on Sunday mornings, you know? I wasn't really mad at church or upset at church, or I was just trying to do things on my own, trying to figure it out, like try to be my own person and fix everything myself, you know, and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But trying to figure things out led me to 4 kids under the age of 22. I had 4 kids. In and out of bad, abusive relationship, you know. Each relationship, I probably almost died 5 times. Tried to, you know, kill me and my kids in the meantime. And, you know, and at one point, my mom just gave up on me and the kids and was like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna do this. You know, I have your siblings to take care of, and you're just putting me in a bind. So we had a really bad fallout to where my kids were put into DCFS. At this time, it was 3 of the kids that were put in. And I'm just angry, like so angry at my mom, like, how could you do this to me? Like, why would you do this? And, you know, and a few weeks go by and I'm just like, it's almost Thanksgiving. This is probably 2006 of Thanksgiving, right? A week before. And I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't see my kids in here because I'm visiting them weekly at the shelter, you know, until they get put into foster care and until people can take them. And when you're Native, they just can't go directly to foster care. They have to be next to kinship.
Oh, wow.
So they fight for your kids, even if you don't want to fight for them, you know? So,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And they're like, are you sure you don't want to give them back to your mom? Are you sure you don't want to give them back to your mom? You know, and I fought this. I fought it so hard. And finally, a week before Thanksgiving, I was like, you know what? They don't deserve this. As much as I'm angry at you, I forgive you. Just please take care of them, you know? Like, they're little. So she takes them back and I just go visit them. Me and my mom are like trying to work out our relationship and just slowly building it back up, you know, because I was just so angry at her, angry at all my family, because it just felt like everybody was turning against me, you know. And I'm just like, well, why? You never wanted me in the first place, so why do I need your help now, you know?
So, if you don't mind me asking, this is another like question that kind of goes back to like how you were thinking at that time. Did you know, simply the fact of not having a father, and then, you know, coming out of abusive relationships, did that sort of kind of shape your mindset towards men at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was like, I'm never gonna be in another relationship with anybody that does drugs. You know, I started setting like standards for myself. I said, I'm not gonna date anybody. I don't ever want to get married. I'm just gonna do this on my own. I'm just gonna raise my kids and do what I can for them, you know. And I just felt like I couldn't trust no men, especially, you know, going way back when I was 10 when he left, and then the abusive relationships that I was in, it just was like a pattern. So yeah, I resented men. I wouldn't trust no one, and I'd be like, my mindset was, no one's gonna hurt me or my kids no more. I'm not gonna let you in. I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me.
Yeah.
So you don't mess with me or my kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
So, I'm sure you and your husband are familiar with the show we have subscribers that send in questions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to kind of transition into the restoration part of your testimony.
Okay.
So one question that someone asked, they want to know what it was like, or what the restoration process was like after getting your kids back. Like, how did that come about? Do you think that was like a miracle from God, or was it just something that, just needed to happen, or what's your side?
It was, so this was probably 2008, the end of 2008. Yeah, in 2008, and probably in December, 2007. Yeah, 2007 in December, on Christmas Eve. At this point, I had the 3 kids, and I'm like feeling lonely. Like, I'm like, holidays are about families, holidays are about being with your kids and stuff. And I just couldn't do it no more. Like, it was just, like I was telling my husband, I go, it was just too easy. Like, making money, it was too easy. Getting the drugs, it was too easy. Just everything came too easy for me. It wasn't fun. There was no thrill in it. There was nothing, So I told him, I was like, babe, I was like, you're not going to believe me, but I went to Walmart, because how I made money also was like, I was the middleman for people. I would get them what they need, like pounds. Be their middleman, they would pay me, and they'd never want to see eye to eye with each other, like the buyer and the seller. So I was the middle person always, and they would always cut me my portion between both. So I was pretty good and set up. But also I started, we would call it shopping, but it was shoplifting. We would leave the lifting out. We're like, let's go shopping, and we'd go shopping, make money, and, and it was just so easy. But it was Christmas Eve on 2007. I was just over it. I was so done. I was tired. I was tired of looking behind my back. I just wanted to be home with my kids. So I went to a Walmart. I'm not going to say which one. I got good things going there now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I walked in there, grabbed some stuff. I already had sold the stuff that I walked in with, and I didn't get caught. So I went back again, took a little time, and I walked back out, got rid of the stuff again, and I was like, God, I need to get caught. Like, I need to go to jail. Like, I need to do something. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, I really want to get caught. So I grabbed some of the drugs in the car, put it in my pocket. I go back in, grab some expensive stuff. Like, they're not going to get you for a bag of chips or Coke. So I go for, like, something that's, like, $80, $60. I think it was, like, I don't remember, formula and some kind of electronic thing, because back then they didn't lock up everything. So I walk out. I'm walking really slow so they can go beep, beep, beep. I get by, I go, and I see a lady walking in, and she's like, hey, do you have something? And I'm like, yeah. So I slip it to her, and she slips me the bill. And the guy goes, hey, you right there, you come here. I'm all, oh, me? Yeah, I'll come. Yeah, sure. Where do we need to go? He's like, we caught you. Like, you've been going in and out. Like, we were trying to catch you, but we couldn't find you. But you were right there talking to the lady. We caught you finally. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. I stole all this. Yep, that's me. Definitely, yeah. I was like, and I have some drugs in my pocket, so here, make sure I get charged with that too. Like, I wanted to get caught. I was just so fed up with everything. And it's true what they say. The jail is the hospital for you. You want to get right. You really can. I really took it as I wanted to get healthy. I wanted to do better for my kids. And that's when I got caught. I had to do 60 days. I got early releasement, got out. I was doing good. At this point, I found out I was pregnant with my 4th kid. Or no, I just had him, and I was doing good. I was going to drug court, going to UEAs, doing all this classes, and I started coming back to church. And man, those bills add up. Drug court adds up.
Yeah.
And so I tried getting jobs, tried to do things, but my old mentality came back, was like, hey, you could make $500 in 30 minutes. Like, why are you working here? What is this $12 gonna do for you, you know? And the bills just kept going up, and finally I just slowly went back to shopping like once a week. And then paid everything off, and the very last time I went shopping, I slipped back into sin and got high. It was so bad. I was so ashamed of myself because I did so good for so long, you know? Ended up going AWOL and drug court, because that's what they call it. I ended up getting stuck in another state, catching another case.
Of getting your kids back and things like that. How did that come about from your testimony?
Well, I wanted to be better for my kids, so I needed to really get myself in a better position, in a better place to be a mom. So it was on Christmas Eve, and I went to just that, trying to get gifts and everything for the kids, and so I just hurried and went to Walmart with a friend. Like I said, shopping was our way of making money, so we went shopping. And I was just tired, overwhelmed, frustrated, and just done with everything. So I wanted to get caught. So I went in one time, grabbed some stuff, went out, sold it, and I was like, oh, that was too easy. I need to go back in and do it again. So I went back in, did it again, didn't get caught, walked by everybody, and finally the third time I grabbed some meth that I had in the car, and just so hopefully I got caught this time, and this time it took a little bit longer, and I walked in, grabbed some stuff, and they walked really slow through the doors. And I saw somebody, and she's like, I need some, so I ended up selling it to her right there, you know, like the slide handshake you do.
Yeah.
So we did that right there, and just as I did that, the what do they call? They're not officers, but the ones that
Security guards?
Yeah, there's loss prevention. There you go, the loss prevention guy.
Security guard?
Yeah, he was there, and he's like, you right there, and I'm like, oh, me? Yeah. He's like, yeah, you come here with us. We've been watching you, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm right here. And just literally exposing myself, telling them what I was doing and what I had stole, and I had drugs on me, it was just very to the point where I was sick of running and looking behind my back, that I just really was trying to get right and do right for my kids. And I just needed to go to jail, somewhere where I couldn't get a hold of drugs or do anything else, you know, like I really needed to do that. So I went in, I was up for a couple days, and by the time I woke up, it was like already January 1st or something, and I had court, and I've already had 5+ charges of shoplifting, and once you have 5 or more, it turns into a felony.
Oh, wow.
So I had the felony pending, and I had warrants from no insurance, driver license suspended, and then I got a new charge of meth and weed on me, and so I was like, I don't want to get out. I just want to stay here. I'll do my time, and so he gave me 60 days for that, and with a good time I got out 2 weeks, like a month and a half, and I got out and went to drug court, enrolled in all my classes, went to church, tried to do right, and I was going to church, and I was, you know, trying to do everything, but when those bills stack up for drug court and you have to pay them as you go, that's where it was hard, and that's where my old mentality came back and was like, you can make a quick $500,000 within an hour to pay everything.
Wow.
So slowly I went back doing that just to pay everything, and once I was done paying everything, they were getting high in front of me, my friends, and I was like, oh, for one time I'll just do it because I'm done with it, you know? All I gotta do is just finish out my classes and finish everything, and everything's paid off, and, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna celebrate. And I fell into temptation, into sin, and I ended up going AWOL for about a month because I was still in drug court. That's what they call it, AWOL.
For people that don't know, like, could you kind of go more in depth, like, what that is? Like, what is AWOL?
AWOL is when you, I guess kind of like the military term too, when they go from their position, you know, they disappear and have no contact with like their counselor, the judge, their UAs, you know, that's what AWOL is for drug court.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of disappear from everything. So that's what I did, and they immediately put a warrant out, no bail for me. And my friend was like, let's just run to Texas really quick and pick up my mom and do something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this will be fun. I'm already AWOL, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, okay.
What more could I lose?
Yeah, I'm gonna go big or go home.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ended up going, and we ended up getting caught while we're shopping because we needed money to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And she's already had a warrant out there, so we get stranded down there for about a week and a half. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm even in more trouble. Like, this is supposed to be a 2-day, 3-day trip, and we're almost 14 days here.
Oh, dang.
So we finally get it going, we come back, and I'm just like, you know what, I'll take it or have a good time till I get caught, you know?
Wow.
I eventually get caught. 2 weeks later, I go back to jail. At this point, this is June of 2007, the end of June 2007, and I go to court on July 6th. And I'm just like panicking. I'm so afraid, and I call my mom, tell her I got caught. I'm going to court. Can you come to court? She'll, you know, and she's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this. I'm over it. If you go away, your kids are gonna go back, and I can't do this because at this point she has my 3 siblings, plus I had the 4 kids, so she had 7 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, all from the age of like newborn, maybe not newborn, but 1 until like 12 years old. 7 kids.
Wow.
You know, and so she's like, I can't do this, I can't handle this, it's just me. And she's all like, I'm gonna send them to your aunt and they're gonna help raise them. When she said that, like, it just broke my heart into a million pieces. Like, you know, those are my kids, you know, like those were given to me, and I was being foolish and dumb and all this, and it like really hit me. And I was just praying on the way to my courthouse, and my court, I saw the meanest judge ever that doesn't give second chance. It's just in and out.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I wrote a letter and just like telling the judge, like, please just give me a chance, like just begging for mercy, you know. And he's like, we'll come back to you, and dismissed my case. And I was sitting in the holding cell in the courthouse for about 7 hours.
Wow.
We were there from 12 to like 8 o'clock at night. And
were you freaking out? Like,
yeah,
just,
I was
what's
freaking
gonna
out
happen?
so bad. I was like, what's going on? And in that cell, I really like cried out to God and told God, like, if you're real and you're this God that is gonna help do miracles, I need you to help me and give me the kids that you blessed me with, you know. And they don't have their dad here, and I'm the only one here, and I want to do what I can for them. And I promise you, if you give me my kids back, I will never leave you. I will serve you till the day I die. I will do whatever I can to raise those kids in your kingdom. So, and this is like how it all happened. Just waiting in that jail cell, just praying and crying out to God. They finally called me and said, I just remember like it was yesterday, because the judge he's like, Miss Blue Eyes, he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. He's like, I've been sitting here arguing with the prosecutors and the attorney and just everybody, your counselor, and He's like, I don't want to do this, but those kids need you. They need their mom. This society doesn't, these kids are growing up with their parents, and if you're willing to step up and be there for your kids, he's like, this is your chance.
Wow.
He's like, I don't ever want to see you here again. He's like, if I do, straight to prison. 5 to 15 years in prison.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, you won't, like, you definitely will not see me, you know? And I was just crying. That was on a Tuesday, July 6th. Wednesday was July 7th. I was so excited. I got out. I told my mom, let's go to church. We need to go to church. I said, I'm never leaving church. I'm going to be in church. I'm not leaving. Like,
that's so good that you didn't like test, God's mercy, and just in that moment, like, you feel like tremendous relief. Like, just even you just telling me, like, I felt relief. I'm like, dang, that's God.
Yeah, he had his hand on me and just gave me like that sense of peace and relief, like, and the strength that I could do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just like how a father encourages their kids. When he did that for me, I felt so much encouragement, and just like feeling that rejection, the abandonment when I was 10, it all went away.
Wow.
I was like, God, you're so real. Like, and even when I got my kids back and went back to church, like, it was still a process, getting my kids back, trying to be a mom to them, and then, and just took it day by day and got involved with youth ministry, just really engaging with everything and going to everything.
Yeah, so what do you feel as a mother to teenagers now? What do you think is essential to keep them in church and serving God as a mother?
Just being that godly example to your kids, and showing them that no matter what happens, God is here to help us, and just loving them and showing them and caring for them, I mean, when I was a teenager, I was already having kids and doing adult things, like I felt like I grew up so fast. So when I see my kids, I just love to play with them, I love to joke with them. I just try to be happy with them, be happy in the moment. Don't be too mad or don't be upset, because we're easy to judge others, and I'm like, it's okay, let's just go have fun. Let's, and even now being saved, I remember taking them to Walmart and playing jailhouse and just playing hide and go seek, and taking them on the UTA bus rides. I've never been on a UTA bus ride. I'm like, let's go try this. Where can we go?
Yeah, shoot.
Wherever it takes us, we'll hang out. Just exploring life and doing adventurous things with them, and just showing them that there's more to life than what I knew when I grew up, what I went through, and just ultimately showing them that God has restored our relationship. And it's restoring me as a mom, and honestly, God has showed me how to be a mom, because I didn't know how to be a mom. It was like overnight. I mean, I had my kids, but it was overnight I got all 4 of them back.
Amen.
And so just learning what they like, what they don't like, and, trying to set those boundaries of, okay, I know I'm back, but I'm your mom still, you know? And just praying with them.
Yeah. So when you guys, you came back into the church, you came in as a single mom, and, you were getting involved in things like that. But did you ever find, struggles, or did you ever find yourself, going through things that other women typically didn't, because they had, they were married, they had, the full functioning family, and you're in church? Did you ever encounter any struggles like that, or were you just happy to be in church?
I was happy to be in church. I was excited. But I really, when I saw that, I started praying, like, God, that's what I want. I want a man that's going to love me and my kids. That will soon be our kids. I want a godly man, that will step in, I just admired all the ladies, and I prayed and like, God, that's what I want one day. And knowing like the rejection that I dealt with the kids, and when I was younger, that's how I knew God was working in me too, because I didn't want to get married. I built the wall and didn't want to be in no relationship, But it just felt like as soon as God did that miracle, I knew God could do anything for me after that point, and I just wanted what everybody else had, And I wanted my kids to have that and to experience that, and I just prayed, and I'm the type like, so how did you do that, or how did that happen? Do you
remember any you said that you saw other ladies in the church. Are there any particular that were great examples to you that you can look back on, like any that come to mind?
There was a lot. There was a lot. I know for one is that really encouraged me at the time. There was like Sister Jackie and Pastor Robert, Lucy, Mark Arthur, Mama Ceci, and Pastor, I just really clung and talked to everybody and just really put myself there and just there's just so many, and Rose, she was the number one, always telling me, I'm gonna pray for you, we've been praying for you, and Bear, and just them telling me, you can have this too, you can have this too, your kids can have this, they're gonna grow up in church, just keep serving God no matter what, just keep pushing through, keep fighting the good fight, and I took those words to heart, and I just kept praying and believing God, and till one day.
So I want to kind of transition into that as well, because I have kind of a couple of questions pertaining to that as well, just because of some people have blended families together in the church, but it's not how do I say it? It's not entirely common. I can probably think of 4 to 5 people that have done it in the church. What was it like? Well, let me ask you this. How did it come about? Did Pastor Mikey start pursuing first, or did you have interest in him? What is the story? Where does he come into the picture?
So that's when I started going to Vision Extreme, the youth. And Cassandra, we just really clicked. My husband's sister. Mm-hmm. We just really clicked, and at that time, she had all her cousins were at that age, and everybody was in the cool youth back then. Just kidding. No, all the youth is good. But we were just all hanging out, and I think we were going to the haunted house, and she was having fellowship. And I've never seen my husband up there, because at the time he was doing sound. So I've never seen him. A
real man of God.
Yeah.
That's where the real ones are. Just playing.
I didn't see him till we went to a fellowship, and she introduced me, and I still wasn't, I was there, but I was there, but I wasn't really fully there, and I was still learning, and the more we hung out, the more fellowships I went to with the youth, the more, and it was so crazy, because even on outreach, when we went to outreach back then, or I don't know, but somehow they would assign, they'd be like, you go with this person, and you go with this person, and I was always in his outreach group after I saw him. It
was destiny.
Yeah. And he would tell me, dang girl, you follow me? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna put in your outreach. But yeah, and just getting to see him more and know him more, and yeah, it was just. He wants me to put this in, but I'm like, Pastor's gonna rebuke me. So we were in the outreach on Tuesday night, and I had went, and I didn't have gas in my car. And I usually ask the sisters, you know?
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed because I only asked one, and she was like, no, I don't have any. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go ask another one. Like, I'm just too embarrassed. I'm like, it's okay, we'll walk home. But then he comes walking, and I was like, oh, I'll just ask him. Like, nothing, you know? And I'm like, hey, do you think I have $10 I could borrow for gas? And this is on a Tuesday. So we went back to Vision Extreme on Friday, and I gave it back to him.
Yeah. He's nodding his head no.
Yeah, he always says no. And I'm like, I paid you back, I swear. And just, I guess that like sparked it up, and we just like started to get to know each other, and started, you know.
You're like, it's all right, I married you.
Yeah.
I paid you back.
Yeah.
Just playing.
10 times. Just kidding.
That's crazy. So in that stage of, you know, being a single mother, what were some ways that people blessed you or helped you? Like, even just when it came to like, was Sister Cassandra a blessing? Like, was she pro you guys like being together, or was it something that was just kind of like on the hush, or?
Yeah, I mean, it went really quick because we were both in church, and we, like I said, he was the sound man and I was there all the time. So every little chance we got, we would like, you know, try to get to know each other at the church or on church functions. And she didn't mind it. She was like, yeah, go, you know. But I think the hard part was that I had 4 kids, you know, and I had told him, but he was like, hey, I don't know, I remember what he really said. Honestly, I don't think he had an issue with it at all. But the time Andrew was 2 or 3, so he was 3, and I still had him in diapers, and they were like, you need a potty trainer, you know, and I'm like, why are you guys yelling at me? You know? Yeah. But I've never like had that push or that encouragement, you know, and I took it in, and I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta potty train him, he's a big kid, you know? But yeah, no, I know Cassandra supported us and helped us, and I know Stephanie did too. But when I went to go meet his family for the first time, I was so nervous because he has 5 sisters.
Oh, dang.
5 sisters, and he was the only boy.
Were they like intimidating to you, or were they like friendly?
Yeah, they were at first, but I had always prayed that I wanted a big family, you know, because at the time it was just me and my 2 sisters and my brother. They're younger. And I'm like, God, I want older sisters. I want, you know, I want a big family. I love big families and everything. And when I saw them, I was just so excited. You know, the intimidation went away. I was like, yay, I'm going to have older sisters, you know, we're going to do this. And just excited, you know, because God had really healed me and restored me when he gave my kids back. Yeah. So everything that I had, the bitterness and, you know, everything against, I was just excited, like thrilled, like I'm going to be blessed. This is exciting. The kids are going to have tias, you know, cousins, and they do. That's
so awesome. So what's a piece of advice that you would give to, maybe there's someone listening right now who's a single mother, and they're just struggling with finding a sense of like belonging, you know, maybe they struggle with comparing themselves to people that have been getting married, or just people that have a full, complete family. What's a piece of advice that you'd like to share?
Well, I believe this is one thing that God has done for me is God made you in the womb fearfully and wonderfully. He made you unique the way you are, you know? And that took me a long time to identify that for me. But once I knew that, I'm like, whoever God sends for me is going to love me for me. all I gotta do is just love myself first and love, not myself first, but love God first, and God will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Because when I came back, I was in it. Like, I loved God. Like, everything was tunnel vision to me. All I was focusing on was like loving God and doing His will and just really engaging with everything He had for me, you know? Mm-hmm. And when I started praying, like, God, I want a husband. Like, I want a good husband, a godly husband, you know, that's going to help take care of my kids and that's going to love me for me, you know? And I didn't go after anybody, you know, it just kind of like stumbled while we were at the church functioning. And I believe like it's God's timing, not yours. And just don't chase it. Don't be in a rush, you know, let God do what He needs to do, because in that time God was equipping me for, you know, like marriage and how to submit and how to, didn't teach me how to cook, but but you know, and just the things that God was still helping me deal with and preparing me for. So I just say, like, just give it to God and let God do what He needs to do, and everything will fall into place.
Nice. So when did you guys officially get married? Do you remember the year?
2012, March. Nice. March 11, 2012. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys got married, was there difficulty, you know, because, you know, you had kids and.
Yeah, there was, because it was just him, you know, for the longest time, and he gained 5 people.
It's a big adjustment. Yeah, overnight.
You know, overnight, and me just barely getting the kids back. I think just under 2 years, you know, 2 years maybe, 2.5. And it was just all new to us, you know. So we were learning as we were going, and there were some battles.
Yeah, marriage as itself, it's already like, as soon as you get married, you know, Pastor Martinez, you know, he tells every couple, you know, beforehand that marriage sometimes can be shocking, you know, because it's like a drastic change in your life. You have to adjust and learn a whole new person, but he probably had to learn like, what, 5 new people?
Yeah, exactly. And it was just, it was difficult, you know, but we were always calling Pastor, like, Pastor, what do we do with this, Pastor? And for me, like, my background, it was hard for me to watch him discipline them, you know, because I'm like, I barely got them back. Like, I don't want to beat them already, you know, like, let me love them first. Let me win them over, you know? Yeah. But as time went on, when baby dedication happened and Pastor would preach about the kids, and, you know, we had questions, we had to go talk to Pastor, and he reverts to the scriptures where don't spare the rod on your children or your gift.
Hate them.
Yeah.
That's a trip. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, you could whip them.
I'm like, what did he whip them with?
No, I know.
I'm like, describe it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but no, it was still pretty hard, because I as a mother, not brand new, but learning, I didn't know how to discipline them. I didn't know how to teach them right from wrong. You know, I was just trying to love them as much as I could. And that loving was just overpowering everything else. And, you know, they were naughty. They were bad. Brother Eric could probably name each kid that he had to whip. The nursery, Andrew and Anthony were bad, you know. But
I remember one time I walked past and I think he was whooping Nano. I was like, dang, Nano too?
Yeah, you know, and just learning that, you know, and just letting my husband take charge and, like, being the head of the household. Yeah. It was hard and difficult, but, you know, I was like, God, you gave me this great man, like, show me how to submit, show me how to, you know, like, this is not how it's supposed to be, you know, but we worked through it and we prayed, we had counseling and read books about children, how to raise your kids, how to teach them. And it was a process to discipline and teach them, you know, and getting to know each one and their personalities.
Yeah. So do you remember, ever having conversations with Pastor Mikey about calling and things like that? Did he ever like vocalize that to you, or like have those conversations like, man, I'm called to preach? Or what was that kind of like your guys, as far as like involvement in the church? Or
It wasn't, he never spoke about it. I would bring it up. He would be like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like he said in his sermons, he had opportunities, and some of those opportunities he wouldn't tell me about it till afterwards, and I'm like, I'm your wife. We're supposed to talk about things like this, And he's just like, nope. I don't remember his exact words, but it was just nope, and I'm like, I don't think I ever told him, that I was like, I wanted to be like a pastor's wife,
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't in the books until after I got sick. And that's when like I really told him, and we talked about it and we discussed it. That's when we started aligning our lives up and getting things right, and then that's when it started becoming the books.
So do you remember what year you guys were put on staff and Mikey became the door director?
Yes, I do. 2021.
Was it?
Yes, 2021. I think it was in March, huh? Yeah, probably like third week of March. And I only remember so vividly because that's when our oldest daughter backslid. Oh, when we were getting put on staff for door director, all hell broke. And we just kept pushing and fighting through it.
Yeah. Was there, it's kind of a generic question, and you can kind of answer however you need to, but what kind of struggles did you face, like mentally or even just spiritually, like having to deal with that, as far as like children that you raised in church, and they started to form their own opinions and things about how they wanted to live their life?
Like a failure, like I didn't do enough, or I wasn't good enough. It's kind of like the devil would lie to me and tell me, you see, this life isn't what they want. They prefer the single mom that's on drugs, where they get whatever they want and they could do whatever they want. They don't like this nice, strict mom. They want that lenient mom that doesn't care, And the devil would torment me so bad. And I remember like crying to my husband, like, what did I do wrong? Like, what's going on? And when our oldest one backslid, like I took it really hard, because in the past, I never had like a really bad breakup, or really, like, I never really allowed myself to get hurt, But when I got saved and we got put on staff, she left, and it was so heartbreaking. Like, and I sat in the prayer room just bawling, like, just like so numb. I couldn't do anything, And everybody was coming, like, "Are you okay? Can you come?" I'm like, I can't move. Like, I'm so numb. Like, you just feel betrayed, like I did all this. I got saved. I got out of jail. I changed my life. God's restoring me. I'm here for you now. It's like, what did I do to earn this or receive this? And it was so hard, but everybody was encouraging me and like just praying for us. And God is so good, because we had a revival with Pastor Tony Chase. And it was just so powerful. One of his message said, bad days could be good days. Mm-hmm. everybody has a bad day, but God is still the same no matter what. And when he preached that, I just felt like the Holy Ghost upon me that whole service, because like I said, before we got announced store director, Drea left, Ariana was struggling. Anthony, he was struggling so bad. Andrew had his thing going on, I swear it was just an attack from all 4 kids all at the same time. And then we got announced, and then we had the revival, and that's what he preached about. And when he said that, just started preaching, I was weeping the whole time, and God just refreshed my memory. It was remember, I gave you this promise that your kids are going to serve me, but I need you to serve me first, wholeheartedly. He's I need you to surrender them to me. And that was just one of the hardest things, because like I said, and before, I try to do things on my own, try to fix everything my own, and try to figure it out on my own. And God was no, give it to me. Let me do it. And I did. I surrendered it all to him. I gave it to him, and I just couldn't stop crying that whole service. And I remember going to Ceci. I was Ceci, God is so good. He's refreshed me, restored me, I know she's going to come back one day, and God's going to restore my kids, and they're going to be serving you. They're going to be pastors' wives, young preachers. They're going to be disciples. It was just awesome what God had done in that moment. And at that time, we were working with new converts too, and they're just looking at me wow, God is so real, and they know too, because when we started working with them, our kids were there, but then they seen that they weren't, so I had to give them a little summary about it, but not the details.
Yeah.
So when they see me, they're just crying with me, God is so good, they're oh my gosh, Mandy, that's so awesome. And I was yeah, God's so awesome. And I was so never give up.
I mean, that's good. I mean, how does someone keep going when it seems like nothing is going right? As a mom, and, as someone who is rising up in ministry, and it's we have that saying, new levels, new devils. What would you say got you guys through it? Was it just simply that surrendering? Was there more that helped you get through that? Do you remember?
Yeah, there's been moments in my salvation that God has really touched me and dealt with me, and reading his word where he spoke to me clearly, and words that were given to me, I really take them to heart, and I keep them with me so I can, when I'm struggling, I remember them. That's why it's so important when if I get a word, I'm record me, or somebody, does anybody have the video, so I could look back at it as a reference point and remember what God has done for me.
Yeah.
And even now when I read my Bible and when God speaks to me, I put the date and what happened, and so I can go back for reference point to remember, and get that encouragement again, because when I first got saved, I didn't do that, and I couldn't remember, and it was so frustrating. But once I started doing this after I got sick, it was just easy, because God's oh yeah, remember? Kind of when you have your dad and they remember what I told you about this, when this happens, do this, when you tell your kids, or you're explaining to them when they're in trouble, you give them advice. That's exactly what God did for me. And I remembered what he said to me and showed me, and I just go back and I'm God, please just help me and remember your word, and just lock it up in my brain and remember.
Yeah. Thank God we've got live stream now. That's a good thing to do. Keep track of your words and stuff. I've done that. I mean, it's a trip. It really goes to show that God is constantly doing things. Especially when we don't see anything happening. That's where true faith kicks in. Things like that. So you guys are on staff 2012, 2000.
21.
Oh,
2020.
12. Sorry, I'm getting it mixed up. 2021, and when did you guys get launched? Do you remember?
January 2022 in the Prescott conference,
Nice.
the last Prescott conference.
So do you remember how that was coming about? Like the story of that? Like when did you guys like finally make the decision? Like, yeah, let's do this.
Well, when we got announced door director, my husband had told me that this is a launching a launching path. And so I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, you got to prepare to be launched out. This is, I'm not sure how it goes, but that's what he said. And so I was like, okay. And so we just started like really aligning our lives up, getting things repaired, and, just keep doing what we're doing and more. Mm. And so when we went to the conference in January, like we were on our way to the conference from the airport in Phoenix, and we both were just talking, and we just looked at each other, and we were like, well, what about Boise? And he's all like, that's so expensive up there. He's like, if we're going to get sent out there, it has to be from God. And pastor has to tell us. We're not going to mention it to him.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and I was like, and he's like, well, what about Burley? And I'm like, sure, wherever you want to go, like I'm down to go wherever you want to go. Like, yeah. I'm just excited to do the will of God.
Yeah.
And he's all like, okay, well, we'll pray about it and we'll see. But we weren't expecting. We were kind of expecting to go out, but we weren't, It
was like, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. And I think on Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, pastor had came up to us and was like, hey, come here. He tilts his head. He's like, come here. Yeah. and we came, and he's like, hey, what do you guys think about Boise? Oh my gosh.
Your heart dropping down.
Yeah, we looked at each other. We knew already, because we were like, if pastor says, then we were praying. And when he said, we're like, yeah, pastor, it was already on our hearts, when we were coming. And he's like, well, pray about it first. So we still prayed, and it's just God was still tugging, at our hearts for Boise. And I said, okay, let's do it. He's like, all right, let's do it.
Praise God.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trip that it's already been 2 years. I mean, Pastor Mike said it in a sermon the other day. I was like, 2 years? Holy crap. I thought it was like yesterday.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
So can you give us kind of a brief report or just what's been going on in Boise in the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years, we've had couples come in, it's the faithful servant we have there. Mm-hmm. She's been there with us through the whole time we've been there. And she's been a tremendous help to us, in nursery and cleaning. And anytime we do anything else, she's been a blessing to us. And we've had one couple that's been there since probably like 3 months after we came in. Yeah, and they're such a wonderful couple too, and he's been a tremendous help to us, and he's my husband's right-hand man, helping him, with construction stuff, and he's a good worker.
That's awesome.
So he loves to help us out in the church, and just a big blessing to us in the church, and helping us with everything. And just recently, one of the guys got released from prison in, I think it was June 4th, because he had to go back for about 9 months. And he's come back on fire, like fire, and his soon-to-be wife, and she's on fire, and they're just like, let's do this, let's try this. And just amazing couple that, God has blessed us with and helped us. And we've even seen some backsliders come back.
Nice.
You don't know the rejoicing spirit until you have backsliders come back.
Yeah.
You get so excited, and I'm just like, yay, they're back, exciting. And,
Yeah.
and they're there like stronger and, and just helping them. And just, it's amazing what God has done so far in Boise, and we're not done.
That's so awesome. So this is a subscriber question. It says, when both you and your spouse are in ministry, how do you learn to balance and still learn to be a wife and a mom, not just the pastor's wife?
So I will I will admit, when I first got out there, that I didn't fully forget, but it's just like, you go into church, you clean, get everything ready, and then I sit. And people come in, and my husband look at me, and I'm like, why are you looking at me? And he's like, go say hi. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm so sorry, because. Yeah. So you learn, like, you have to balance your time. Time is crucial out there. You balance your time. We learned that in the first year while we were out there. We go early for church to clean, to set up, pray, so by the time people come in, we're available to them and welcome them and get to know them, and then try to talk to them and, just try to build that relationship with them.
Yeah.
And with work, we, like one of the pastors said, keep it 40 hours only, no more, no less, So we always try to look for jobs that are flexible, no weekends, no nights, and we have holidays off. And me and my husband, we work only 40 hours, and if we need to do more to get off early for like impact teams or anything, they're really flexible with us to make more hours or work 410s or 312s, And then family time, it's, me and my husband, we set a time in the evening to hang out with our kids, or we do like family day and go on a walk, or just trying to figure it out, bake a cake or make pizzas or just something, or going fishing. We really haven't gone fishing. We just barely tried, but I think like 2 weeks ago, it was free fishing day. That was the first time we went.
That's funny.
But Aeneas is so obsessed with it. You get to learn what they like and what they're into, and you try to hang out with them like that, and it's exciting to see them come to you like, Mom, let's do this. Mom, can we try this? Or, even now you see them wanting to get involved, and
that's so cool.
That's amazing.
So you guys just came to our second annual conference. We just came out of that. How did it feel, seeing your husband, knowing everything that you guys have gone through over the years, and just being there from the start, and to this week seeing him become a conference preacher? How did that feel?
Proud moment. It's very exciting. I was very proud of him. I've even, when he found out, he was so nervous, and like he said up there, I was like, babe, just do what you do best, preach. You're a good preacher. You're amazing. You put a lot of work and effort into this, like, don't doubt yourself for a minute. Like, you're good. You do good things, And I was just happy, and that we're a part of this, this fellowship, this conference, and just being here. Like, this is what we're a part of, and one day Boise could do this too. One day,
Amen. It's
just so exciting, and just to have that eagerness for it. I'm just like, oh, I want to get there. I want to do it, But
so, being that the conference theme this year was the risk, what's some advice that you could give to women who want to be pastors' wives when it comes to taking that risk?
Don't hold back. If God's telling you to do something, do it, because you don't want to live in regret. You don't want to be guilty. You don't want to be like, well, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Don't. Just obey God. Like the sermon said, don't be disobedient, because you're going to be lower than you were. Just obey God and trust God's word, because God has so many plans for us, especially for young women that wants to be a pastor's wife and wants to do something for God. Just obey him in everything, and if you're afraid to get married or to talk to people and to speak out, start talking to people now. Like, start doing it so by the time you get out there, it's natural to you. It becomes easier, and for me, I just love people.
That's good.
It's just so easy. I just go up and talk to people, and I just love people, and it's just love people, and really, really engage what God has for you. God has a purpose, and don't hold back when he tells you.
Amen.
Take that risk.
Amen. Well, Mandy, I appreciate you coming by today. Well, the last 2 days. It's been tough. We've been pressed for time and things like that. So busy with the chaoticness of conference. But before, we wrap things up, we covered the beginning stages of your life, the middle, getting married, getting sent out. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the world? Any encouragement, any stories, anything that you'd like to share with the world before we wrap it up?
The one thing that really stuck with me was, how I told you guys that I try to do things on my own and try to figure things out. Don't do that, that's dumbest thing you could do. Just give it to God and surrender it to God and let God help you and equip you, And I've always told my husband, these trials and tribulations that we have been through has built character and strengthened us for the better, because you just never know when somebody's going to go through it, and you could be that testimony to help them through it. And they're going to see you stronger and better, and that's going to be encouraging to them as well. And one of the scriptures that pops out to me is I think it was, hold on, I had it. Isaiah 55, 8-9, where he says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heaven are higher than the earth, so my ways are higher than yours, and my thoughts than your thoughts." That's God telling you, don't be God. Don't try to outdo his will. Just surrender and give him your all and let him do what he needs to do in you. And it might be frightening and scary, but take that risk. God knows what he's doing, and I'm excited. I'm happy with the outcome. I'm glad I took all those risks that I did. I'm glad I jumped the gun. I jumped in, and, if I could do it with 4 kids, single mama, anybody could do it. And being sent out, and God has blessed me with a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man that, I don't deserve, but God blessed me with a wonderful husband and my kids, and for that, Andrea did come back. She's serving God,
Shout out Andrea.
Yes, I'm just so happy and proud of her. Ariana, she had her moment, but she's back, back in church on fire for God. And I think she might be upset at me for saying this, but she said she wants to be a pastor's wife one day.
Praise God.
And just hearing her saying that, and it's just me and my husband did something right, and these kids, and we may not see it now, but God is doing something, and just to have that hope and peace in God, it outweighs the fear.
Amen.
So.
Amen. That's so awesome. I mean, it's an incredible story, incredible testimony you have, and I really do appreciate you guys coming out today. I look forward to the next Impact team. I look forward to going to Boise.
Yes, you guys are welcome. Right now, just kidding.
Well, thank God you're going to have some help. You're going to have one of my good friends, Blas and Jeanette, out there for you guys. I'm excited about that.
I'm excited. I'm happy. It's awesome. What we do works. And like Pastor Wayman Mitchell says, keep the main thing the main thing. Amen. Keep it going.
Amen. Well, once again, thank you guys for coming out today. Thanks for sharing your story, Sister Mandy. And for everybody listening at home, we'll see you guys on the next one.